Look within. Look within. Look within. And live your life. And live your life on the edge of two worlds. A reality where you find true understanding of who you are. Take the step into the unknown with Alexander McCaig and Jason Rigby as they explore the thinly veiled world of consciousness, spirit, and the human condition. Join them in embodying the oneness of all. Walk the cliff's edge between the seen and the unseen realities. Welcome to High Density Living.
Everybody needs a little love. Welcome back to Higher Density Living.
Hopefully, we got to edit it. I don't know. Did you click the button?
No, I did. That's after the fact.
Okay, perfect.
That's after the fact.
Oh, here's...
Okay, so everybody, welcome back. And we want to talk about the systemic effects of what it takes for a burger to get to your mouth.
Yes.
Okay? Which direction do you want to start from in this chain?
I think we should start first from...
Do you want to start from the person back to the earth, or the earth to the person?
No, I think we need to go from... I want to start from what you said. I mean, we have a little bit of time, but I want to start from the massive amounts of resources it takes when a cow is born.
Great.
And then the person, and then what's happening when that multiplies.
Okay. Okay. Here's stage one. For a cow to be born, all right? And I want everyone to consider every step of this, the carbon footprint and the environmental tax, right? And when I say tax, it's the things that burden our ecological systems, okay?
Right.
The very thin skin that the earth is. So in order for a cow to be born, step number one is that you have to have a cattle rancher, right? This cattle rancher has to be fed. He needs to make money.
Right.
So this cattle rancher has to amass resources. So what's he going to do? He has to have farmland. So this farmland requires money, right? So in order to get this money, he had to do some sort of labor, some sort of thing to happen to accumulate the space. Now he's got his space, okay? He's got his farmland. Now he's got to get the cows. Cows just don't show up from anywhere.
No.
You can't just buy one cow and then the farm takes off, right? You need a large amount of cows, right? So he's going to go to a cattle auction because he needs to fill a stock, right? So that he can own this stock, and then these stock can begin to procreate and they can get more cows.
Right.
And like I said before in one of our earlier videos, you have to have a ratio. So you're going to have one male bull, right, to about 9 to 10 females, because that's the ratio of what they do. And at that point, they can procreate, and then you can start to have your dairy cows. You can start to have your just regular meat cows like Angus beef. And now we're starting to get into a situation. Now we got a farm, right? We got a cattle farm. But the cattle farm can't happen unless there's sufficient space for these cows to feed on, right? So there's two options that we have here. It's either I have a whole bunch of grazing space, right? Fresh grass, which is typically rare in cattle ranching country to find that. Even out here, we have free-range cows, but there's nothing much grass for them to munch on. So you have to supplement that.
Right.
How are we going to supplement it? So we're going to have a large farming operation with a lot of grain, and we're going to have to get that grain trucked in. So we got to get a big truck, 18-wheelers, right, to then take all these grain storage, right? So they got to go out, they got to farm it. It's going to take years for them to accumulate all these goods, right? All these crops, and after these crops have been milled, pulled up from the earth, used the machinery, all the gas that went into powering these machines, right, it has to get shipped to you. So now you have this huge grain storage area, right? So you got to use another piece of your allotted land that doesn't go towards cow grazing, just to store your grains, okay?
And you're looking at, I think one of the things that people don't realize is the amount of water.
No, we'll get into the water, right? So not only to grow all those grains, it required a lot of water, right? So say you want a grass-fed cow. People love their grass-fed beef. Well, do you know how much grass it takes to water your lawn?
Mm-hmm.
A shitload of water, right? But I need a cow which requires hundreds of acres, right? Because they graze and they eat all day long with their multiple stomachs. It requires a lot of energy for them to grow. So that means I'm going to need hundreds of thousands of gallons of water to maintain just the grass for these cows to eat and to grow. Not even for the cows to drink and keep themselves hydrated. That's just to grow the crop on the land for them to eat. And if I can't sustain enough of that, I'm going to need a bunch of fresh water plus all the grain storage. And that grain storage required a lot of water to grow all those crops to get that stuff shipped over, right? So now I have it all sitting here. So I got my grain storage, I got my grass-fed cows. Now I got to birth these things.
We went on a cattle lot. They're just spraying water over to keep the dust down.
That's all. So yeah,
I mean, that's these huge, big sprinklers with like big nozzles that are, You know,
it's like
just
fire
launches.
hoses, just massive fire hoses.
It's going on all the time.
Just spraying constantly, right? Because the cattle, as you eat so much of the grass, so much of it, it erodes the natural soil structure of the land. There's no roots to really hold on to things. The vegetation is now gone, right? Because all these cows have to graze, they have to feed. So not only are we using all that water, now the cows, if we want to get some milk, right, before even eating them, we got to get this thing pregnant. So I got to go out there and I got to make sure that now that I got a bull, right, it has to be well fed and healthy. I got to impregnate one of the cows with this bull, whether through artificial insemination or I got to stand there and physically coerce the bull to get on top of this cow.
Right.
So now after the cows have procreated and it has a gestational period of a long time, right, many months for this cow to grow inside the stomach because it's a mammal, right? This whole time, it's now eating double the amount of nutrients and food and water intake that it would need if it was just a cow that wasn't pregnant.
Right.
Okay?
But it's a cow just in the wild walking around.
Just walking around.
Because you're creating these, what we're doing is we're creating all these cows.
Right. So every time you create a new cow, right, and you have to do this because if you want to create more meat, you're essentially doubling, bifurcating, or raising to the power of 2 all the resources you need, right? Every single time.
Right.
So if you need 1,000 gallons of water to get 1 cow to grow,
right.
If I want 3 cows, I need 6,000 gallons of water. Okay?
Right. And so that, in turn, now you're looking at it if you do that in South America, which is like probably one of the top cattle places in the world.
Right, but we have
and now we have rainforests.
Well, because why? Because the cattle need to graze.
Right.
Okay? So the only way to do that is to open up grazing lands. They can't graze through the Amazon, right? So you have to have flat, open plain space because they like to graze in plains. They're slow-moving creatures.
So let's just chop all the trees down.
So you got to cut the trees down, right?
Right.
Because the incentive for these people is to cut this down, and not only going to make money off the wood, but they also get money for renting off that land for cattle ranchers to come in and use that as feed, right? And then after we do that, right? So now that we're jumping down there, right? So if we're not feeding them on our own farmland, right? If we're not getting it from like a local farmer in the United States, 95% of the beef comes from Central and almost South America, right? So now I got to take all these cows.
Which is the number 1 country for obesity.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
South
right?
America is
Their health is not good. They eat massive amounts of beef, and they're in just a terrible health state.
Right.
So from a carbon footprint stand, right? We've first of all killed off all of the things that are going to recycle and clean our air, right? For grazing space for the cow. Then we got all these cows together. We have to feed the cows. We got to give them water. Then we got to slaughter them, and then we got to ship them by boat all the way up or by truck straight up to the United States, and that requires massive amounts of diesel and these huge ships to get the livestock up here, right? In whatever format you ship them up.
Right. We're spraying the meat.
You're spraying the meat
preservatives,
to hold the preservatives in place. And now that it's up there, we got to hold this thing in port. And then I got more cars and trucks coming in to offload this shit, move the cattle, right? You got to refrigerate it to keep it cold. So the energy in that, the energy to move it, the energy to keep it cold, the energy to preserve it, the manpower that goes in place. You got to feed people to keep them energized to go get these cows to transport back and forth. It's not robots doing it.
Right.
And then when it gets to the place where it has to go, guess what? It has to get diversified out of these huge distribution centers, which another truck then takes it, drives where it needs to be, drops it off at a store, and it's going to sit on the shelf. Hopefully someone will buy it. And
it's going to go to a meat packing facility.
Yeah.
There's so many processes. I mean, if you're really were dead set on eating meat, like a hunter would probably be the most.
It'd be the most direct process.
Yeah, I mean, direct process.
It'd be like a 3-step.
It'd be like, go kill that deer.
Yeah.
And then bring it home, put it in your kitchen.
Dress it yourself,
do all that, and you've eliminated a ton of process.
So on a 1,000-step process, right?
Right.
Which has environmental strain,
right?
Massive amounts of fossil fuels, eroding of natural forests, you're depleting your ability to clean the air that you breathe, which is one of the number 1 requirements for you to survive on this planet.
Right.
You're upsetting the water quality because there's so much cow shit, the nitrates in it throw off the balance of the water, its pH, so it makes it very unstable, it makes it very acidic. And so what happens when things are acidic? They become cancerous, right?
Right.
So now you have this dirty water that's killing off the land. And then we have all this grain storage, so all this monocropping. A majority of the crops we have to grow in the United States
are for cows,
they're not for us to eat.
No, they're for animals.
It's for livestock to eat, right? So all this space that we're worried about, we got no space, we got to do all this farming land, all this water goes to just feeding the cow, right? All this grain goes to just feeding the cow and the transportation. So by the time you got it, the effective environmental debt you've built up is so huge that there's actually no gain. There's no gain for anybody, right? If the government wasn't in place to sit there and help you out with this, right?
Oh, yeah, the subsidies.
The subsidies of the government are the only thing that allow this business to be in place. If there was no subsidy from the government, it would have failed many moons ago.
Right.
It would not be a thing that it is now. But because we continue to eat this, right? To require this meat to get shipped around, the second it hits your plate after it's been slaughtered, distribution centers, purchase it at the store, it's been wrapped, you bring it home, wait in the fridge, then eat this dead piece of flesh that came all the way from like lower Bolivia,
right,
or wherever the hell it came from.
Right.
Now you're just asking yourself, okay, do I want to have cancer or carcinogenics? Do I want
Well,
to
and
throw
then
off
we're
my
also
body?
they're pumping them with so many hormones to try to
No.
and they're trying to get the births to go quickly.
Right.
And I mean, by the time that's what I'm saying. I mean, I personally don't condone killing anything. But I mean, at the end of the day, if you have to absolutely have meat, go hunt, go find it yourself. Go do it yourself.
Yeah.
And if you can't do that process, then don't do it at all.
Yeah, and don't say it's any different to kill the cow or a deer than it is to shoot your own dog.
Yeah.
It's not. Right? And just understand that the reason you pay so much for this meat is because you're trying to offset all the costs and the thousands of steps and the carbon tax and the environmental catastrophe you're causing just to get this 16-ounce sirloin on your plate, right?
And people don't realize the amount of energy that's in that 16-ounce
right.
sirloin.
So, and it's funny that you say energy, right? Because it's dead. There's no energy to that meat. The energy that went into it is already used energy.
Oh, yeah.
It's the whole process of what it takes to actually get it there so you could smell this thing and get that aromatic bliss for like 2 seconds because you're so hooked on eating this animal, right? But you have the loss of tree, the loss of land, the loss of water, the loss of space.
Well, he's just been fed a big lie, like with all our food, with the marketing.
Yeah, but you got the fossil fuels that are the issue, and then people are like, oh, what about the cow farts? Well, yeah, then you got to worry about the methane that goes into the sky.
Right.
You got ozone problems, right? Then you got refraction, increase in the El Nino effect. Like all this other shit happens in a systemic thing. So eating one burger, the second you put it in your mouth, is telling a dude down in South America to lop down another tree.
And I had somebody, they listened to our podcast today, and they sent me a picture of a burger.
I mean, it's okay. I mean,
no, I just was like, did they have a plant-based one?
Yeah,
or whatever. Yeah.
Is this like an?
But I mean, I just thought it was funny because out of our whole podcast, 2 episodes, where we talked about GMOs and being organic and grain and certain foods that you can eat and beans and all this stuff, everybody instantly went to the meat part.
Right. And
there was almost like this anti-Alex Jason, anti-higher density living because of the meat part.
And you want to know why? It's the social idea. It's the construct. It's their habit, right? It's their perspective. It's their distortion of the world.
But don't you feel like that's the problem, whether you're a super leftist or whether you're super right? Like you get these Trump supporters that are out there, you know, and then they're like, we don't give 2 Fs, you know, da-da-da-da. Or you got these super leftists that are, you know, like feminists that are super hardcore and they hate males, you know, period. Like you're just judged instantly if you're a guy.
And you're...
I mean...
yeah.
I mean, to me, it's that same feeling, that same vibration, that same thing. It's like, okay, why wouldn't you be like, I disagree, Alex and Jason, but I understand. You know, that does make some sense. Or you know, but I'm going to still eat steak because I love it. You know,
okay. And if you disagree,
why do you got to get angry?
Don't get angry.
Right.
And if you want to disagree, and if it's disagreeing on an emotional basis, fine.
Right.
But if you're disagreeing because you say that the facts are otherwise, well, that's just not true.
Right.
You know, and that's a function of educating yourself. And hopefully you get there out of your own ignorance. And if we lose some viewers out of it, so be it. Right.
It was interesting. I listened to a podcast today on Ed Milet and Derek Bentley, a country singer.
Okay.
One of the top.
Dirks Bentley.
Yeah, Dirks Bentley. I'm sorry.
I don't even listen to country. So
Yeah,
the girlfriend knows.
Yeah, girlfriend knows. But he watched the Cowspiracy, and then he went a year and a half without eating any meat.
Sure.
And his band did too when they were on the road and stuff like that. And he was talking about that. But that wasn't even the podcast. He just brought that up. You know.
Right.
But when the facts are presented, it's true.
Yeah. So
as a society, we are better off not eating cows.
Yeah. And don't say you're an environmentalist and you still eat meat. Don't say that you love your dog and you still eat a cow. It's a crock of shit. Frankly, it's cow shit. Is what it is, right? Because it's a hypocritical statement. And don't say that you can love others and love other things. You love plants and all these other things. You don't. Because if you have no respect for the life of something else, just because you don't see it when it's killed or it makes you feel better because you think you need it, your body doesn't need it.
Yeah, why would you need to kill something to make you feel better temporarily?
Listen, over millions of years, your body...
And then, really think about this.
Yeah.
We're going to... This is where I begin to think about it.
Let's do it, yeah.
We're eating some dead fucking flesh.
Right.
That would be like me opening your arm up right now and just
let it sit there for a week.
Yeah, let it sit there for a week,
fridge.
and then I'm gonna be like, oh, okay.
I'm ready for
it.
You
know, I love human arm. It's my favorite. You know, it's like Jeffrey Dahmer shit.
Yum, yum, yum. Or like Dworkian, like putting people in a van. I do have
some heads here.
Yeah. You got a couple heads sitting around.
I have some glass, we'll have to explain that.
And again, it's important. Listen, you're not a bad person if you eat meat, right? And maybe you were just ignorant to the facts, and that's not wrong, right? Or emotionally, you just flat out disagree and you don't want to listen to what we have to say. That's okay. I would encourage you to try to do something else.
Just try it for 3 weeks, a month.
Just try it. Don't knock it unless you try
21 days, 30 days, yeah.
How do you know? It goes for anything, right? How do you know if you don't like seafood or a certain type of candy unless you try it?
Yes.
You never know, right?
But like we talked about in the other podcast, when I encourage you, listen to this, depression, emotion, hormonal levels. A lot of this has...
It's a direct effect of what you intake in your body.
Yes.
Right? That intake food, that sustenance, it's the same thing as intaking emotions, right? Your eyes intake optical things, right? Light, these senses. If something's really bright, it shocks you.
Right.
Well, something's really heavy and doesn't make you feel good, it's going to shock you also.
Yes.
So these sensory inputs, these things that come into you, they all affect you in the same way, right? It just depends on what you're putting in your body. So if you look at something that perturbs you and makes you feel sick, well, it's the same thing as eating something that can make you feel sick, right?
Yeah, I mean,
or if someone says something to you, you're ingesting their words, you're internalizing it. So what they say is, you're like, okay, now I'm thinking about, okay, I'm making myself feel bad because of what I'm letting come into my body.
No, let's just take 40 ounces of high fructose gel.
Yeah.
Just shove it down our throats.
You know what I mean?
See how our body handles that.
I'm just like all jazzed up, feeling great.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, it's just something that has been man-made.
Yeah.
And it's against who we are.
And
that's higher beings.
We're not, and I want people to understand, I'm nothing perfect. You're no one perfect.
Oh, yeah.
I ate meat for a long time. I've tried a slew of different things, right? And I started to refine the research, and then I would figure out what research was actually bullshit. And then I started to see who pays for that research, right? And I go through
That's important. Yeah.
And that's what's important, right? You see who's paying for it, why it's cited the way it is, like all these different things go into research.
There's even companies that will pay for the anti to be anti not enough.
That's correct, right?
So they can disseminate information.
It's an incentive-based system. So it's important that you take the time to educate yourself. Listen to us as a starting point, right? And if you want to tell us otherwise, find all the research you can to say that eating meat's
But
good
I
for
mean,
you.
because there was a lot of people angry with it, but I want them to understand. I don't want them to say, high density living, not listen to your podcast anymore. We're done with you guys. That's not what we're about at all. You can eat steaks every night. Yeah. We encourage you to listen to our podcast. We encourage you to ask us questions. We want to know, because at the end of the day, there we go. Because at the end of the day, it is the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's nighttime. But we really, really want you guys to not only us be able to teach you, but then you be able to teach us.
Right.
And we learn from you and you learn from us.
And you guys
in multiple formats.
They've created a dialogue. Yes. We're having this video because this is a dialogue with you guys, how you feel, what you want to do. Just take the time to look at all your habits beyond eating meat, okay? Not only is it killing yourself and killing the earth, right? But look at all that. You don't want to be a hypocrite.
No. Yes.
Wouldn't it be great to walk around and you're just so sure of yourself with everything you do and everything you say, you don't have to worry about it?
Yeah.
Because you just know, you're so comfortable in your own skin.
And that's the thing,
choice.
I mean, your girlfriend / soon-to-be fiance, whatever. I don't know. What are we?
Are you dropping a hammer right now, like online? Like, I hope she doesn't watch anything.
She doesn't watch us.
Yeah.
She hears from us enough.
She'll see this years later. You know what I mean?
But, that's what she told you. And then you had shared that with me. So, I learned from you. You learned from her. She said, Alex, don't be a hypocrite. And you're said the same to me. You're like, Jason, don't be a hypocrite. And that really resonated with me. It's like these little small, minute gains of self-pleasure. For what?
For what? And then you want me to trust what you have to say?
Yes.
You want me to listen to what you're doing? Like, if anything can pull anything from us, right, is the fact that I'm doing exactly what I'm saying, right?
But I do encourage you guys, the comments, the questions. We love sarcasm.
Live for sarcasm.
So when that lunch burger picture came today, after you listened to our podcast, I love that. I thought it was great. It was like, there's dialogue. There's, it was funny.
Cool.
Yeah, it's like,
people are listening.
Yes.
So whether or not they agree or disagree, I like that they're listening. And the whole point of it, this is about raising your vibration, right?
That's all.
To raise to a higher vibration so that you begin to float. You become that flexible creature. You begin you feel that flow of nature, right? So we don't want to fight that flow. Do what nature does. And by consuming the things or stopping the flow of nature is the opposite of what your body wants, what the earth wants, and what your spirit wants, right? So in order to elevate yourselves,
not elevated IPA.
Not elevated IPA, but elevate yourselves, right? That takes focus, commitment, determination, and learning from the story of who you are.
So focus, commitment, and determination.
Right. It does not come easily, right? When people tell you this is how the world works, well, that's easy. They just told me. But in order for you to really internalize it, understand it, and apply it, that's a journey that takes practice, all right? And choosing the right things to do to respect yourself, and then you can learn to respect others, that's a practice.
That's awesome. Well, cool. We're at 20 minutes.
Yeah, badass.
Thanks,
awesome. Everybody. Oh, and don't forget, like, subscribe, share, comments of beef if you want.
Yeah, pictures.
Well, that's fine. Yeah, no problem. I'll post pictures of the dogs. We can do anything like
sage,
that. Yeah. I don't care what it is.
When they're like a whole thing on where's the beef?
Yeah, where's my dog? Yeah. Where's the dog?
He's chewing on something that's probably, but he's a carnivore, so he can.
Well, it's in his nature, and I'm not going to judge him otherwise. You know what I mean? But
it's a dog.
Dogs eat a lot of vegetables.
Yeah,
anyway.
and if you want to really see something funny, the Joe Rogan special where he talks about vegan cats. That shit is crazy. I love that.
Good kitty.
Poor cats.
Yeah.
Eating berries.
Yeah, what's going on with them? All right, it's just good. With their sharp teeth and stuff like that. Come on.
They're all like looking like they're all like messed up.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Just slurring off.
Oh, you know who you should go kudos to?
Whom?
Game Changers movie.
Oh, yes.
If, because people don't want to do like the work on the internet because it's a hassle. Maybe you don't have access to like PubMed or anything to get the medical research. Game Changers movie comes out on Netflix October 16th.
It's on Apple, right?
It's on Apple right now, but it'll be on Netflix October 16th. And they did a fabulous job being completely neutral to the whole situation.
It's
just
James
looking at the
Cameron.
facts. James Cameron. You ever seen Avatar?
Avatar.
I don't know what else. He did a bunch of big films.
And then who's that dude?
Bruce Lee.
Yeah, it was like Bruce Lee, but the new guy. He's not new. He's been around for a long time.
Oh, Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan's in there, right?
Jackie Chan. Yep.
And then
Arnold
the big one,
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Arnold Schwarzenegger's in there. He's plant-based.
He's plant-based because you want to have him when he had huge cardiac problems.
Oh yeah.
Doctor's like, you can't do that.
So he's like, I can't give up. He's like, I can't give up cigars.
It's terrible. He did it terrible.
I know I did.
That was awful.
That was the worst.
Oh my God.
Sorry, Arnold.
Arnold, don't
you.
watch this. Oh man.
Yeah, please. But I mean, he like absolutely loves cigars.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I can't give those up.
But
so
I'll
just
give
go
up
plant-based.
Yeah.
Easy enough. What he did. And now he's still living and he's healthy.
So we encourage you to watch that. And guys, don't forget, all is one. And we will add some glossary terms to our website.
Yeah. What's our website?
higherdensityliving.com.
Bam.
Yeah. Bam's right.
There's an email.
Oh, there's an email. So
you're gonna get a little pop-up that's gonna pop up. Don't ignore it.
Blah, 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 blah. Put your thing in. We're not gonna send you any like nonsense
Spammy
or bullshit.
stuff,
I don't like bullshit. I don't want to fill my email with stuff I really don't want. We'll send you useful things. Only useful stuff, actually. Right. And then beyond that, we encourage you guys to continue to keep the dialogue open with us.
There's no cow flatulation in our emails.
Zero. We have 0 cow farts in our email.
Yeah.
You know?
It's just the videos we post like this so people can know.
Right.
Go see your inbox.
Just a gentle reminder.
Yes.
Yes. But we're all here and we're on this path together. So we appreciate you listening and keep an eye out for the next episode.
Yes. Thank you guys.
See you later, everyone.
Look within, look within, look within, and live your life on the edge of 2 worlds. A reality where you find true understanding of who you are. The learning is done. Become the teacher in embodying the oneness of all. Walk the cliff's edge between the seen and the unseen realities. Become a higher density being. Please go to www.higherdensityliving.com.